We continue today with our series of the I Ams. It is from a book written by Covenant pastors Phil and Linda Sommerfeld called The 7 I Ams of Jesus. Today we look at a passage that is as familiar as any of the I Ams. Comments of the people and Jesus, and where Jesus explains to them that He is the bread of life. As we will every week, I want to share with you a paraphrase of what we just read in modern language to help us better understand what this situation might have looked like. If someone had told him about it, he would have said they were lying. But he had been there and saw it himself. With his own hands, he helped deliver basket after basket of food to thousands of hungry people. Yet how could that be? There had only been a few loaves of bread and a couple of dried fish. But the pieces of fish and the bread kept flying into the baskets from literally out of nowhere. And the people kept eating until they were full. In fact, after everyone ate their full, there was still food left over. It was a miracle. 24 hours later, he was still trying to digest, literally and figuratively, what he had experienced. He knew he shouldn't be surprised. This wasn't the first miracle that he had seen. But still, every time he thought he had seen it all, Jesus pulled off something even more impossible. What would come next? Healing a blind man? He thought that would be something to see, without thinking of the pun that he had just given. He looked over to where Jesus was standing. Once again, there was a large crowd surrounding him. What were they talking about? They seemed to be agitated, and Jesus seemed to be unsuccessfully trying to make a point. His stomach growled. Unbelievable, he thought. I am already hungry. Wonder if Jesus could pull a sandwich out of thin air. He smiled. Then he stood up and moved closer to Jesus to find out what all the commotion was about. What? Am I hearing that right? These people are asking for more food? Sure, we saw a miracle and ate the bread yesterday, they were saying. But we're hungry again. What else you got? Come on, really prove to us that you are the Messiah. Unbelievable, he thought as he shook his head. What will it take to satisfy them? His stomach growled again as he walked over to Peter. Hey, all this talk about bread, it's making me hungry. When's Jesus going to take us to lunch? You know, it was just the day before. Less than 24 hours. 5,000 men. And then the women and children have been fed. And today, what's their response? Feed me more. Scripture tells us that they were going back into the history of the Jewish people, and they were saying, Moses fed us for 40 years in the wilderness. You just did yesterday. A little bit more, Jesus, and we're going to be satisfied. Really? Satisfied? This much? I don't think so. Now, I don't know if you've ever thought about that, but what would it have been like if you would have had a front row seat to the feeding of the 5,000? I mean, you were right there, watching Jesus, listening to him teach, and then saw him take the bread, take the fish, pray over it, break it, and voila, everyone was taken care of. Well, the crowd, many of them, saw exactly what happened. And I sensed they were the same people that were there the next day. Thinking, wow, what he did yesterday. What's coming next? Give us another rush. We need a thrill, Jesus. I have a friend of mine who is an avid roller coaster fanatic. He loves roller coasters. Matter of fact, when I had the opportunity to be at Magic Mountain, which I think now has probably been bought up 2 or 3 times, in California, when they came up with the first roller coaster that did a 360-degree loop, I had a chance to ride it. And this friend of mine, he was not going to be satisfied until he was able to ride it as well. And he rode it over and over and over again. I couldn't do that. Dare I use the phrase, I couldn't stomach that. But this friend of mine had to do it. He wasn't the first to ride it, I was. I mean, between the two of us. But he had to make it a point that every time he rode a roller coaster, he let me know. Really? And I asked him, I said, what was it about that ride? He said, it was good. Good? This was downright amazing. This is like flying on a spaceship. This is amazing. He goes, it was good, but I want one more loop. I want to go sideways faster. I want to go. I'm like, you want more than that? Now, granted, that was 38 years ago. And now there are roller coasters that will and even ones that don't have tracks underneath. They have tracks above. And you hang. Ridden those too. Oh my goodness. But there's just one more thing. I just want to have one more. The rush has got to be bigger this time. It's got to be greater. It's got to be faster. That's what I thought about in part when I read this passage. These folks weren't interested in the teachings of Jesus. They were interested in one more miracle, one more rush, one more bit of excitement. Something they could tell their grandchildren. I was there when Jesus did that. You know, when the experience fades out, when we have something so exciting that it totally consumes us, but when that excitement fades out, it's not just a matter of, I'll remember that forever. No, it's a matter of, give it to me again. Give me another one. Give it something more amazing. You fed 5,000, let's go for 10. That was the attitude of the people. It gets to the point where they were so focused on the miracle itself that they lost the meaning. I wonder how many times that's us. The people there said, we won't believe until you show us more. At that point, I don't know about you, but I know how I would respond. I would throw my hands up in the air and say, are you guys serious? You want more? What do I have to do to you to convince you that I am who I say that I am? Jesus had to be frustrated with that. You know, maybe the problem wasn't I want to see more. It wasn't seeing. Maybe the problem with these people was the fact that they didn't and wouldn't believe. The message was totally lost because of the miracle. Or maybe it wasn't just the miracle. Maybe the attitude of the people was such that they were thinking, okay, Jesus isn't rushing to do this. What can I do to enhance this? What can I do to spur Jesus to do something even better? Oh, really? Now it's all about you. Now it's all about me. What can I do to cause Jesus to do something remarkable? What can I do to earn God's favor? What can I do? What are the requirements that God would place so that we know what we have to do? Jesus had to address that issue too. What do we need to do to appease God? What do we need to do to earn His love, to earn His forgiveness, to earn salvation? Jesus responded, He answered that question very clearly. You don't have to do stuff. You have to believe. There's not a list of things that you need to take care of and then get over the top and say, okay, finally, I've made it to the believe side. You need to believe. We need to understand that Jesus is just being very transparent with these people and with us. You and I just need to believe. But the crowd wanted more. The crowd wanted a rerun. They wanted a repeat. I could imagine what it must have been like. People coming up and talking to Jesus. And then all of a sudden, you start hearing in the back the chant coming from the crowd. We want bread. We want bread. The eyes are rolling. And Jesus continues to understand that these people that He deals with every single day don't get it. He wanted to give them so much more than just one meal. So much more than 2 meals. He wanted to give them and us something that would fill them, not just their bellies for a few hours, but something that would fill their hearts forever. Jesus wanted to use these examples to show the people of everlasting life. And they missed it. You ever hear the phrase, let me chew on that? Let's chew on this. was so focused. It was so obvious that they were focused on material things. They missed the spiritual. Like we looked at last week, the woman at the well was focused on just getting a drink. What was her comment when Jesus offered her a drink? Oh yeah, give me that so I don't have to come back here every day. So focused on the here and now and on the physical and not on the spiritual message that was given. C.S. Lewis put it this way: our Lord finds our desire not too strong, but too weak. We are half-hearted creatures, fooling around with drink or sex or ambition when the infinite joy is offered to us. But we, like ignorant little children who want to continue making mud pies in the alley because we can't imagine what it's like to vacation at the sea. We are far too easily pleased. We miss it. You and I miss it. We don't understand the depth that Jesus wants us to go to. When Jesus says, I am the bread of life, he is not talking about Wonder Bread. When Jesus said, I am the bread of life, he was not talking about food or physical hunger. Jesus was talking about being filled with himself. Jesus was talking about you and I being filled as full as we can be with Jesus. And when you and I get to the point in our lives where we focus on Christ and not focus on stuff, then our lives can turn around. Then Jesus will fill us. And then you and I will be filled to capacity. Gracious God, we ask that you would just fill us with your love. Fill us in such a way that we understand that it's not just about the physical. It's not just about the here and now, but it's about forever. Help us to understand that you provide for us in ways that nothing else on earth can fill us. You provide us with the bread of life. May we receive it. May we share it. And may that miracle go on and on and on as we share the love of you with others. We ask this in the name of the bread of life.